and we'll admit people. Let's see, I want to share my screen. Thank you, welcome everybody. As I said, sorry for some of the my messing up. Where is share screen? Trying to find. Oh, there it is, duh, right there. I want to share this just real quickly. Can you guys?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm okay. You're seeing it as a slideshow on your screens?
It's ready for a slideshow, yes.
Okay. Oh, I have to share it. Let's see if it'll work. Why is it doing it? It says I'm screen sharing.
You just need to go to slideshow.
Yeah.
Then put it in slideshow mode.
That's what I'm trying to
From
do.
beginning.
Mm-hmm. There you
Yeah.
go.
There we go. Okay, there we go. Just looked weird. It's just putting things up on my screen here. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, welcome to Understanding Analytics for people who don't use analytics regularly. We are the Publishing and Graphic Design Learning Community. I'm Linda Gilmore, one of the co-chairs, and I'm an editor at K-State. And then Sonia Moore Davis is the Director of Media and Communications for the Sherman Lewis School of Agriculture and Applied Sciences at Langston University, and she is my co-chair. We thought it would be really helpful to have a session about analytics. When we did a coffee chat last fall, several people had expressed an interest. I don't use analytics a lot in the kind of things I do, but I think it would be really, which is why I don't really understand it very well. So we thought this would be a really helpful session. So we tapped into some people, experts from our own universities. Kirsten Connard is our digital media officer for K-State Research and Extension and for the College of Agriculture. She's also right now our interim communications and marketing manager for the College of Ag. She has her undergraduate degree in K-State and is working on her MBA. So she lives in Manhattan, and we've enjoyed having her working in our team. Helene Sheets is also from Langston University and is the director of their public marketing and public relations area. So she is been there since 2023 and has a really strong award-winning PR team, and we're really excited that she can share her knowledge about various kinds of analytics and metrics that can help people kind of craft messages. I think certainly from my side of things, if I could understand a little better how we track and understand how our materials are being used, I think it could be helpful as I do my job. And so today we're going to talk just a little bit about some of these things, and I'm going to let each of them share slides and kind of talk about first. And I'm Kirsten, if you want to go first, I think I'll let you go first, and then Helene, and then we'll just try to leave some time for some questions. And I will stop sharing.
All right.
I can find there we go.
Okay, let me share my screen here. Okay. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so thank you, Linda, for the introduction. Like I said, my name is Kirsten Connard. I work here at K-State with Linda. And I do marketing for both Research and Extension and the College of Agriculture. So I'll be presenting today on Google Analytics and social media analytics. So just to run through the agenda, I'm going to be talking about website metrics through Looker Studio. That's Google's version for website analytics. And then I'll also talk about social media metrics. I'm only going to really talk about Meta Business Suite, but if you guys have questions on like X or LinkedIn or YouTube, I can answer those. I just didn't include it in the presentation as Meta seems to be the more common social media platform used. All right, so key website metrics that I think it's good to start tracking as a beginner user of analytics. So there are 5 that I would recommend looking at, and all of these can be found in Looker Studio, and I'll show you how to find them. The first one is active users. So active users is the number of users that have been on your website in a specified time frame. And this is like the total number of people. They could have been returning users, they could be new users, but this is everyone who's visited your website in that time. New users are people who have visited your website during this time frame, and it was the very first time that they ever came to your website. So I think that's an important one as well. Page views is the number of times a page was viewed by a visitor. So you can look at this as a whole and see the number of page views that you have for your entire website. You can also look at page views for individual pages if you want to check out how something is performing. Top pages. So this exactly what it sounds like. These are your pages that are performing the best based on views. And then engagement time. This is the average amount of time that a user will spend on your website. So, all right, so how to find these metrics. I just took screenshots. Some of them are a little bit fuzzy, so I want to apologize for that in advance. So when you log into Looker Studio, up at the top, you'll see your panel, and that, it'll obviously be for your website, not K-State. But the first thing you want to make sure of is that you change the date and set it for the time period that you want to look at. I believe that it defaults the last 30 days. So you're just going to want to make sure that's for whether you're tracking for a week or for a month. When you're deciding how you're going to track analytics, you should decide beforehand what time frame you're going to compare against. So you don't want to compare like a week's worth of data to a month's worth of data, obviously. So if you're going to be tracking over the course of months or every quarter or every week, decide that beforehand. But yes, so make sure that your date is selected, and then the first group of information is going to be on this summary column down here. Sorry, it's a little bit loud in here. So this is where you'll be able to find your active users, your new users, and then you can see what % of your active users are new users. The % of those people that engaged your website, page views per user, and then the engagement time. And then if you scroll down to top events, you can find your total page views for your total website there in that first row. And moving on, if you scroll down even further, that's where you'll find your top pages, and they're already ranked for you. Your top page almost always is just going to be your home page. That's what that / is. And then you can just put your cursor over these and it'll tell you what all of them are from there. And then for each of those, you'll be able to see the total number of views that page got, the percentage of views for the website where people were on that page, and then how many viewers saw it. So any questions on website analytics before I move on to social media? All right. Let me know if I'm going too fast. Okay, so key social media metrics. These I might deep dive into a little bit more because this is my main area that I work in. But the 6 areas that I would look at if I was looking at social media for the first time Obviously followers, exactly what it sounds like. On YouTube, they're called subscribers. Some people think that reach and impressions are the same thing. When I first started in social media, I definitely did. But they actually are a little bit different. And whether you get reach or impressions kind of just depends on the platform, unfortunately. So it's much easier to see reach on Meta. So when you're in Meta Business Suite, that's probably the one that you'll be working with. And reach shows the number of accounts or the number of people that saw either one of your posts or all of your posts in a given time frame. You can look at both. Impressions is the number of times your post came up on a feed in a certain time frame. So to explain the difference a little bit more, if you were looking at only, a person can only be counted for one in reach. You're only one person, right? But if I saw my post 3 times throughout the week, that could be 3 impressions from one person. So your impressions will always be a little bit higher than your reach. And Meta does give you both of those, but it is easier to find reach. So, all right, moving on, content interactions. This is just how many times somebody interacted with your post. So it includes likes, comments, shares. If it's a video, it'll count how many times people viewed your video, link clicks. And again, one person can account for multiple content interactions. So if one person liked your post, commented twice, shared it with 5 friends, that would be 8 interactions just from that one person. Views is obviously the number of times that your video was watched. Unfortunately, there's no set amount of time that accounts for a view between platforms. Every platform is a little bit different. So I believe, I want to say with Facebook, it's 5 seconds, but it changes all the time. So that could be dated information. And then of course your top posts. I base my top posts on interactions, the post with the most interactions, but you can also base it on reach if you would like, and I'll show you how to do that. So moving forward, how to find them in Meta Business Suite. So first off, to log into the Meta Business Suite, I don't have it up here, but when you're on your Facebook page, Meta Business Suite is an option in your left sidebar. So once you click on that when you're logged in, you will see this left sidebar once you're logged in. And if you have multiple pages, like I do, I manage both K-State Research and Extensions and the College of Ag. You also want to make sure this drop down is set to the one that you want to look at. Then once it's set, you're going to scroll down, and at the very bottom is Insights. So once you select that, it'll open up your Insights page, and the default will be Overview. Once again, up at the top, you're going to make sure that the date range you want is selected. And then if you have both a Facebook and Instagram account, you can toggle between the two right there. So first, how you're going to find your increase in followers is you would hit Audience over here on the left. And then I always look at net followers. So if you just look at this number up here, it tells you how many people followed your page that month. What it does not tell you is how many people unfollowed your page. I want to know what the total is, so I always look here at net followers when I'm tracking follower growth. And then you can see your total lifetime followers there at the bottom. Do keep in mind that when it says lifetime followers, that is like your current following. All right. Moving on to how to find reach. Both reach and content and interactions would be under content on the left and then overview. You can also find them just right here in this overview. So as soon as you hit Insights, they would pop up there on the screen for you. So for reach, once you click on that, it'll give you the exact number instead of like 86.2 thousand. You can look at the more specific number right here. If you do run ads, it'll break it down for organic posts and ads for you. Then just scrolling over to content interactions, same thing. You can look at the total there. And then you can look at how many of your interactions came from people who follow you and how many people liked your post that did not follow you, which is kind of cool. I didn't include this in that first slide on things to look for, but if you're curious in the demographic of your audience, under that audience tab on the left, you can look at things like the age and gender of your audience, as well as the cities that those people reside in and the countries those people reside in. So if you're interested in that information, that is also available on Meta Business Suite. All right. And then lastly, you can look at your top content here by selecting content. It includes both Facebook and Instagram if you have both. If you only want to look at one or the other, you are able to filter that here. You'd click filter, placement, and then either Facebook or Instagram, depending on which one you wanted to look at. But again, make sure that your correct date is selected. And then you're able to sort these based on pretty much anything. So you can look at it based on date. That's the default. When I track my top posts, I track it based off of likes and reactions. So you would just click that little arrow and now you can see that likes and reactions is descending. So I would consider that post up here at the top to be our top post for the month. If you would like to track based on reach, most of the time those two will be the same post, but sometimes not. If you are tracking based on reach, you can do the same thing just by selecting those two arrows next to reach. So I know I went through that pretty quick. I want to make sure that Helene has time to present, but if you want to do questions at the end or if you have any burning questions right now, let me know.
Thank you so much, Kirsten. That was
Yeah.
excellent. And hello, everyone. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. It looks different when you're looking at it on your own screen. Okay. So I want to, obviously we're talking about analytics, and today I'm happy to talk about how to embrace and utilize the power of analytics. And what I'm specifically going to look at is Meltwater, which is a media intelligence tool, and then Constant Contact, which is a digital marketing platform. I'm going to touch on that very small, and then advertising as well for paid advertising. So I also want to talk about artificial intelligence in all of what Kirsten was talking about, and these platforms that I'm going to be talking about. Artificial intelligence is already built in a lot of these. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but it basically allows you to do your job better, to really show what has been successful, not successful, how to improve content, delivery, everything like that, and increase engagement, if you will. And then Meltwater's capabilities, they can do a lot of things, emails, newsletters, set up alerts. So if you get spikes in your media or mentioned, it'll let you know via email. Today, I'm going to focus a lot on return on investment, which are dashboards. So a monthly dashboard is available through Meltwater. And I will say for the basic Meltwater, I'm not sure if anybody else uses that or any other media tracking tool. It costs for the year. Again, you can do a lot with it, between $10,000 and $16,000. So however you use it, there are different reports. And then this is just, a lot of these slides are going to be to help you if you get into one of these platforms, how to create those dashboards. So this one is basically on the left-hand navigation, hit analyze, and then select the purple button that says get started. And let me see here. From there, you can choose a comparison dashboard where you can compare your institution compared to competitors. You can do a particular campaign, whether it's a media or marketing campaign, a new academic program you've announced. So you can track that way. You can also do a more glossy version, which is a coverage report. It'll actually show a lot more visuals. And then the one I particularly like is the earned media measurement. And what earned media means, it's not just the posts you've done, it's the free media mentions you've received and sometimes paid, and it'll tell you the difference. And that way you can track month to month. Is there growth from the same month previous year? It's a great way to see where you're getting your spikes, what content has performed well. This is an example of how to start an earned media measurement dashboard. In a lot of these media intelligence platforms, you'll have different things that you look for. For the week, the monthly one we focus on broadcast, which can be radio or TV, and that can be local, statewide, or national. It can even be international. News is usually going to be online news. And then social media obviously is mentions where, and all of these are based on for our institution being mentioned in that media. And you can, as Kirsten said, you can select the dates you want. With the dashboards, you have a shareable link. It's an interactive dashboard that can be shared with anyone. You can tailor the password. You can even brand the dashboard with an image or whatever earned media measurement, you can add a date to it. You can do a lot with that. And then again, this will show you the number of media mentions for the set date. The reach that Kirsten was talking about, that's the potential reach for all the eyeballs that could have seen something. Sentiment, which can be positive, negative, or neutral. Most are neutral. You do want to monitor the negative. And then the top articles by reach, which again is how many people could have seen it. Social echo, which as Kirsten talked about, is engagement or the interactions. And then reach and volume together is the number of eyeballs that might have seen it, and the volume is the number of different platforms or mentions, different places that your media was mentioned or your story. And then you can break it down again to specific mentions, trends, and source type as far as which media are actually sharing your news. And then again, showing the interactivity of these dashboards. And again, they are so simple to create. You literally just pick your date, your input, and it just produces these graphs. So if you would hover, as you see in the green arrow, over broadcast, which is the pink area, it'll automatically tell you 8.5% of that month's media came from broadcast, which again would be TV or radio. And then moving over the mentioned trend, if you maybe sent out a press release or did a particular post, did it really spike the interest of mentions and get the name out there for your institution? And then by type, source type, again, that could be a social media platform. It could be broadcast, it could be news. And it just kind of shows you where you're experiencing growth or maybe where you need to improve. This also top publications for the month. The number on the right-hand side of each of those blue bars tell you how many times your institution or organization was mentioned in that month's period. And on the further side, the top publications, that gives you the reach. Again, their viewership or listenership. So you can see. And then also, if you tend to see the same outlets, it lets you know who really wants to share your information. And maybe if someone's not there that you'd like to see, start building that relationship with them. This is just the top entities, keywords. If you really want to deep dive and see, you'll for this one in particular, Sometimes you're mentioned in the same as another competitor, but maybe you're combining for a transfer pathway or something like that. And quite honestly, your particular institution should be the top entity producing content. Because again, you want it to get shared. And then the favorability of the content, it shows you the green is positive, the red is neutral, and the gray is neutral, red is negative, green is positive. And it's interactive, so if you were to hover over the red and say X, it would tell you the number of posts or comments that were negative, and you can even deep dive into those. Enhance details even further. Again, say if where the green arrow is on the left, if you click on the broadcast, on that particular part on the right-hand side, it'll bring up all those 110 mentions, so you can look through them and they're even clickable. So you can actually see more details about them. And then if you were to click one, you can actually create a clip from what this news media actually created. You can edit it however you want. You can repost it, put it on your website, or share the great news. You can put it in your own special report if you have to do a report about a particular campaign. So these are all great tools that come with these type of platforms. And this one here is a local TV station. They covered when our particular institution, Langston, the students went and had a Langston Day at the Capitol. And so, again, you can make a clip out of that if you want to and promote the coverage you received. Also, if you look up from where the green arrow is, there are 3 specific figures there. The one with the little people icon tells you how many, the audience that saw this particular 1 minute in time, if you will. The $sign is going to tell you if you had to pay for this 1 minute in time for this particular station, it would have cost you $26. And then the bottom number with the star is the interaction or the engagement, as Kirsten, talked about it. That's important. So this tells you this particular story also featured on their website, because then people interacted and possibly on their social media. So you could even go check that, but it'll tell you 61 times. It's not necessarily the number of people, but people were interacting with that particular news bite. This one in particular is just an online news story. And following the green arrow, it says that 20,400 people, that was the reach for that. And then also for a lot of these intelligence tools, I won't go into too much detail as Kirsten already did, but the social media overview, it can give you a snapshot if you have your social media kind of hooked up to that. And also you can, through these tools, set up social media to post, so you can pre-schedule it and pick the platforms you want something to go on. Now, constant contact, again, is more of it lets you tell your story with emails, texts, and social media. You can maintain multiple lists. It's great for a lot of different purposes. You can use it with admissions. You can use it with institutional advancement, for marketing and communications. And again, with the different lists, you can really send it to specific people or just alumni. The analytics are open rate, clicks, click-through rate, and the heat map, which is really good. It tells you how many people clicked on specific links if you have more than one. And you can go even deep dive into that as well. Digital advertising, that's more paid. For those who actually do some digital advertising, there's different types. I don't want to get too involved, but there's indirect and direct, and there's search engine marketing. And SEM is more of what we call a Google search, if you will, when you're looking for something and immediately something will come up. Indirect can be someone who's maybe their internet behavior was looking for something before, and so an ad can come up later while next time they're on the internet for up to 3 weeks, they can get ads if somebody is purchasing that particular demographic, if you will, or behavior. You can also have targeted, again, based on behavioral, if someone is looking for agricultural schools, or, they can be delivered ads. A verbal one, I love these, but I know I'm a little bit of a geek about this stuff. If you're talking with someone and you have your phone with you or any smart device and you mention, there's something wrong with my dryer, you could start getting appliance ads. And that's because your device picked it up, and somebody who's doing advertising, you fit the demographic and you're going to be served an ad. So those are different ways you can advertise. And again, based on search history, demographics. You could even search in a particular zip code or city area with a household with a high school student inside that household and deliver ads to each one of those devices. It's really, really fun. Retargeting is if they've come to your website. If you choose to advertise, you can deliver ads after the fact. And again, those are analytics similar to what Kirsten was saying. Impressions, click-through rates are important. The actual clicks, if they've been delivered an ad, do they go to the next step? Do they follow the driver? And then conversions, from the marketing perspective, do they go to the website? If they were served an ad, if their device was served an ad within the next 2 weeks, did that device wind up on your campus or on your physical site? That's something that can be determined through advertising. And of course, as Kirsten was saying, the length of time something was viewed. I do want to talk briefly about KPI, which is key performance indicators. And depending on which hat you wear or which field you're in, this is for public relations and our communications teams. The things you're going to want to report on or really know and be able to share is, as Kirsten was saying, the reach, the number of individuals who saw it, unique and or repeat visitors, social shares, which is the engagement, average time spent on a page with the analytics for a web page, and the coverage generated by content produced or promoted by your team. Those are the key things you're going to be reporting on. If you fall more into the digital marketer or marketing end, you're going to be very involved working with the success of the next step. What was the driver? How many bookings or RSVPs were made? And then working with those other departments to kind of put it together. How many leads were generated, how many people requested information, and then the conversion rate between stages. Put it in this way, if a prospective student or a newly admitted student, you want them to take the next step and maybe pay their commitment fee or sign up for classes, did they click to the next thing? And then you talk with admissions to find out, okay, they clicked to your link, did they complete the form? And so, or did they go to the web page? So all those things kind of come into it's taking the conversion to the next step. And then at the end, looking at who were the clients or students that continued to be engaged and actually enrolled and were there after census date, after the first 2 weeks of the semester. So again, those are KPIs based on what your particular role is at your institution. And that's what I have. And as Kirsten said, we're welcome to questions. You can say them here or you can put them in the chat. I'll stop sharing.
Great, Helene and Kirsten, thank you so very much. You do have a few questions. Since you just finished, Helene, we'll get your question first. I think one came through while you were speaking from Whitney. It's about your clips. It's about your clips. Are these clips you can create available for a limited amount of time, or university level comms team uses Meltwater? I think her university comms team uses Meltwater and create a clip for her, but said it would only be available for 1 week. Can you comment on that?
It does have a limited time. So if you want to create a clip, you can also download it then, and then whatever you create would be yours if you snip it yourself. But if you just want to share that particular clip, it does have a shelf life.
Great. And then Inka had a question, but I believe that Kirsten did answer, but we'll let's go over just to make sure that Inka had everything answered. Inka's question was, where can you find overall engagement, likes, comments, shares for a certain time period and not just for individual posts? And I know you answered that. Kirsten, could you go ahead and follow up?
Yeah. So again, under that overview tab, when you first log into Meta Business Suite, it'd be under content interactions. So when you select on that, it'll give you the total for the time frame. But if you did want to break it down by host, that's when you would go to content overview.
Right. Okay, and I don't see any other questions inside the chat. Did anyone else have a question? Feel free to unmute if you wanted to ask Kirsten or Helene a question. It's a good time to do that. See if we get any more. I thought you both did a wonderful job. I know for me, I would need to have some of this broken down a little bit more. Just to sort of experiment more with that. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I can see several areas where I would love to kind of have a breakdown. And for you, Helene, when you mentioned about the enrollment aspect, I see that could be utilized in the extension and the research side of what we do to get, that involvement with the
Yeah.
public.
And literally with the tools or the platforms, you can even see who actually clicked on the links, so you can report that back, and so they can actually follow up with that person to say, hey, we saw you were interested. And just yesterday here at Langston, they had a Roaring Registration Day, and we used Constant Contact, people RSVP'd, but we also had walk-ins. And she literally could look at who RSVP'd, call them up and say, hey, haven't seen you yet. But yeah, it is a great tool, and you can see what people's interests are as well.
Right. Right.
And I'm happy, I'm sure Kirsten is as well, to share the our PowerPoints.
Yeah, we could be happy to share those with you guys if anybody wants them. I will be at ACE in a few weeks, and I can also answer we can bring their information to share too. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Helene and Kirsten, for your information. This has been really helpful. I like Sonia, I am really unfamiliar with a lot of this kind of work because mostly I work with words and not so much what happens after the words leave my desk. And I really appreciate your insights here. I think it's really helpful to know what kind of things we can learn, and it's a little bit creepy too, to understand how we can track some aspects of things. But it's also really helpful as we try to share our information with our audiences and make sure that we are reaching the audiences we want to reach. So I really appreciate your help and your contributions today. And if anybody has any questions, you can always get a hold of me through ACE. And thank you for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
everybody.
Bye.
Have a good
Bye.
day.
Bye.